Yo, 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 yo. What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Nate the Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. To all the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessings. Let me give y'all some time to tune in case these notifications ain't go out. It might not be too crazy on here tonight, but just wanted to go over a couple of little things. That's it. What's going on, my guy? What's going on? First things first, you already know. Hopefully, everybody have a blessed and productive Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday. Hopefully, everybody smoothly got through the work day. Hopefully, kids was able to smoothly get through the school day. For those celebrating birthdays this week, hopefully, y'all enjoying yourselves and keeping yourselves safe as always, and enjoying every moment of life. And if you was able to make it around the sun again, give your praises where it's due. You already know what it is. Appreciate everybody that tuned in last night for the conversation. Definitely was a conversation that was needed. Conversation that's continuously needed, even on different cylinders, because again, we have to come to some form of conclusion in order for certain things to start, working and start elevating in our favor. But those that missed it, you definitely catch the replay. Tonight I ain't gonna be too crazy, but do feel like it's something that we need to do. And it's talks that actually help, whether some people believe it or not. But before I go left, I already know. Gotta have this up here. I know. See, like last night's talk was an essential one because again, you know, a message was being brought out. You know, what's the general consensus on the message that you're bringing? Message that you're bringing to the people. Serious, baby. Geraldine, baby. What's going on, sis? Appreciate y'all for tuning in. See, like last night was just part of this good old breeze right now. Y'all already know. Feel magnificent tonight. For those in the city, make sure you keep your little light jacket or some long sleeves just in case. But I know everybody built different. See, last night's conversation was just a general consensus. Especially for those that again are utilizing social media to try to not so much as build a following, but utilizing it, for something greater, if that's what you say it is. Um, Again, some of y'all got to be careful of the messages that you're sending, especially on here, because again, it could be a problem. The reason why I say it could be a problem is because again, if you look at who's watching, especially the young ones, they watching a little bit of everything. They watching what some of you adults are doing on it. See, for some of y'all, it's fun and play, which is cool. But in the same token, you still got to be mindful of what you're doing. Some of y'all playing a character, and if you're playing a character, cool. But it should more be about a strong message more than anything. But I'm gonna use a prime example. Some of y'all want to do the music thing. Cool. Whatever you decide you want to rap about, whatever you decide you want to talk about in your music, that's solely on you. But I would also say again, make sure that there's a message that's being brought within that. James, what's going on, my guy? Keith, what's going on, my guy? It's the general saying. Almost everything in life that you look at does have some form of a message. The goal is to let the people see that message, see it as clear as possible, you know, and then work from there. And I honestly think that, there are some who are doing what's necessary and pushing not so much just a positive message, but just giving some insight, but also giving hope to those who might be following in footsteps. Because again, people that's watching, you don't know, they might be following you into this quote unquote generation of internet, social media. That's what you plan on doing. But again, have some form of a message. Now, there are some scenarios we've seen, prime example, that we know for a fact is skits or scripted acts. Cool. The cool thing about those scripted acts is that the people that are portraying whatever they're portraying, they know for a fact it's entertainment. And they let it be known from jump, it's just entertainment. And you got others that you can't tell if it's entertainment or not. Which is a problem because again, it's about delivering a message, right? Now, prime example, we've seen some skits where there was cheating involved, right? And for some people, they think it's you know, it's actual facts that is happening. But then again, in some instances, it's not happening. Like prime example, um, if there is scenarios what you see, even if it is a skit, in some instances, yeah, it can actually be truthfulness to what's going on out there. In some instances, damn well it's far fetched and it's not happening. Just got to be aware of things and again, just see things from a clearer view. But see, even that in this instance, again, it has a cautionary story. It has a fair warning to some that need to hear it. But for some of y'all, again, like I said, some of y'all being a part of the same destruction that we trying to move away from. You know, yeah, I see them coffee cups all in the chat. I see it. See, you got to think about that in the long run. Like I said, with some of y'all utilizing social media, yeah, not saying that it's not a good way for some of y'all to get the way you need to get, depending on what your situation is. Some are trying to do it for monetary value, and there's nothing wrong with that if you feel you could make something out of it. But again, you got to be able to bring something more than what you're bringing. That's why it's called diversifying what you do. Just like how you would have to diversify and do everything when it comes down to stocks and bonds and doing certain business transactions to try to get yourself elevated. You gotta do the same thing when you bring in whatever content here. You know? And again, it doesn't matter which platform you're utilizing. Whatever you speaking about or whatever you're doing should have a clear message. Because again, in all these different platforms, there are young ones who do come across them live streams or they come across those feeds. And again, in the same token, what message are you bringing when you celebrating and promoting all the negative destruction? That's something that you got to think about. I know some things are for entertainment, shock value. Other things has a clear message. The goal is again for the people to see the message and actually take heed to the message at hand. Like I said, it's some talks that people don't want to have, but it's good to have those talks because again, in the long run, it's supposed to be about trying to better yourself and then better everything that's around you. It's about the embetterment regardless. You want certain things to start rising to the occasion. And again, you got to put in the groundwork. Again, some people are just coming on here because they just feel like, oh, I seen somebody do it, so maybe I should do it. Which is nothing wrong if you know what you're bringing. Again, if you know what you're bringing as far as your context and the content, cool. Do what's necessary because, again, it's supposed to get yourself to a higher place, basically. That's what your goal is. If you want to elevate your mind structure, you gotta think about everything outside of the box. What could you do that's going to possibly enrich your life and encourage it? It's good to have these talks. Why? Because again, everybody does have different standards and different goals in life that they trying to achieve and trying to accomplish. No matter what the age is, you're never too old to learn something. You're never too old to create something and build something. It's a mindset. In some instances, prime example, people try to say you have a timeline. I spoke about this a while back, but it's true. Some people try to say you have a timeline when it comes to certain things. Do I believe it? I believe in some instances, yeah. You got a certain timeline. Because once you pass your prime, there are some things you're not going to be able to do, or you're not going to be as fast as you once was. Like with sports, like I said, it's a timeline depending on what sport you're playing. If you keep yourself healthy, if you manage to try to avoid, real critical injuries that could sideline you for God knows how long, and hey, you're the rare few, you're the rare breed. You can play and do as much as you want to up until you can't do nothing no more. There's never a time limit when it comes to bringing knowledge, bringing truth, and again, bringing context to people around you and the people out there, period. Like prime example, the reason why you see some of the things happening on social media the way you see it is because, again, you got to look at some of the people who create content. Some people are creating content, but they'll let you know it's entertainment. This is the character. This is what it is. Don't take none of this serious, etc., etc. Cool. You got those who really are trying to do certain things as far as hurt or damage or try to demolish. And like I said, depends on what you're bringing to the forefront. But if you bring in something that's genuine and bringing something that's needed, even if it's from a different perspective and element, then you stand firm on what you stand firm on. Giddy, baby. I think that's important, though. You know, whatever you're deciding to do as far as bringing content, be authentic with it, but also on the same token, be yourself. But also remember, if you're trying to bring a solid message, like prime example, for some they say they're trying to bring a message of change, but you got to remember, change doesn't just happen overnight. There's a lot of things you have to work forward, and work towards just trying to get there. You got to move forward. You got to stand firm on what you believe in. Never buckle to anything. And that's important right there. See, it's about building structure around you. And for some people, it's a core plan on how they going to do things. And I commend those people because, again, taking the actual time, to create, something greater. When you believe in your message of hope and change, Basically, shouldn't be nobody be able to stop you or knock you off your swivel. It's good to keep a clear mind. It's good to try to keep yourself open-minded, period. Got to think, prime example, if you're trying to persuade the youth to do something like music, be truthful about what's going on. Let them know the ins and outs. You know, don't just sit there and let them sign themselves over to a bunch of nothing or to a bunch of smoke and mirrors. You have an obligation to, again, speak the truth. Let them know that, in some instances, it ain't going to be an easy feat. It's not going to be an easy road if that's the road you're trying to go down. You know, some people already know how it is. They'll get somebody that's gone with the agenda before they actually pick somebody with talent. But if you have talent, if you feel that's the thing you're going to do, if that's how you're going to make your way in life, then again, don't let nothing, no obstacles stop you from achieving something. It's good to be independent. That's something that y'all need to start teaching them again. Teaching them how to be independent. Teaching them how to go with the independent flow of things. You don't necessarily have to be signed to a major, or you don't necessarily have to do business. I mean, even if you're going to do distribution, that's even better. Still be independent. You do a distribution deal with somebody. You get yourself where you need to get yourself. Again, it's just about trying to utilize not so much as your talents, but just bringing a message if that's what you feel you're going to bring. It doesn't matter if you're rapping, if you're singing, if you're doing whatever, even if you're producing. You're doing something to try to better yourself, right? That's the message that really should be given out. Keep aspiring for different things. Look at some of the blueprints. You have people who are showing you and giving you an overall message without having to say much. Naomi, baby. Oh, wow. Prayers, sis. Healing prayers. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I know that's not something to really make light of neither. Another thing I was going to speak about tonight. But prayers, sis, for real, prayers. I'm so sorry to hear that, for real. And it's sad because, again, I lost some people to that. So trust me, it ain't easy. But we definitely here for you. We definitely here for you. Just try to do what's best for yourself and do what's best for your body, sis. And if you need any time to speak or talk about anything, you're always more than welcome. It's another thing I'm gonna speak about. If I don't speak about it tonight, definitely might be tomorrow's conversation. I know that's another conversation that people hate to have, but unfortunately, these are conversations you have to have. You know, but yeah, um, Now you already know, sis. Listen, this over here, because I know there's some people who got things misconstrued about me, but over here is a safe zone. You know, at the end of the day, we all people. We all human beings. So we all go through things in life that, could probably change the trajectory of things or change our mindsets on certain things. But over here is a free space. You're free to be yourself, and you're free to talk about what you feel you want to talk about. And we always here to listen. Healing prayer is definitely to those who need it right now. You know. But yeah, for some of you young men and young women out there who are supposed to be guiding the Gen Z youth or just guiding the youth in general, your message got to be clear as day, but it also can't be contradictory. Like I was saying yesterday, there's some of y'all who put yourselves in a precarious position, and you can end up either being a real target or you know it'll backfire on you. You know, tell the truth, because some of y'all, faking it with the prop money. I'm gonna talk about that too. Some of y'all using fake prop money and all of that to try to influence and encourage those like, yeah, this could be you. If you know what you're doing, this could be you. The message is not bad because anybody could really make something happen in any industry or any occupation in life. Kalani, what's going on, my guy? This is what I'm saying. You know, they say the game is to be sold and not told, but I think it's honestly time for some of y'all to tell what's going on. You know, so this way these people have an option in deciding what they're going to do. I mean, and I'm not trying to stop nobody from. I'm encouraging y'all. If you got the musical talents to do what you want to do, then do it. But just be wise and smart in your decision making, and just pay attention to the overall message. You know, some of y'all you definitely need to just tell that truth, especially again, y'all do got the youth that's following you. You do have people who are being a part of your following. So tell that truth. You know, let them know that yeah, it's not going to be easy, but also let them know what to expect. You know, I feel when it comes down to the messages that are being sent, the messages that are being sent are definitely, positive in some aspects and in some instances. Other times, we promoting the same old violence, the negativity, and that's the part that we always going to bump heads at. I mean, listen, music is its purest form. It's supposed to speak to the minds and the souls of the people. But in the same token, what are you saying as far as your message is concerned? What do you actually offer to the people? You know, when you have a solid message, you stand on it. If you got to double down, you do so. Because like prime example, I don't knock anybody who is trying to get into some form of, musical background and situation. I feel like this: if those are your God-given talents and that's what you want to utilize, and utilize them to its fullest degree. But just be wise and again smart and calculated in decision makings that you decide to get into. It shouldn't cost you your integrity, your soul, and it definitely shouldn't cost you your peace of mind. Because to be quite honest, any form of occupation can be stressful at some points, especially when there's too much work being done. Don't overload yourself trying to be a better version of yourself. You put in the right type of and the right amount of dedication. It has to be a balance, you know. It definitely has to be a balance. You know, so again, bring the real messages and let them know the truth. Don't feed them smoke and mirrors. Because how can you say you for the young ones, or how can you say you for the younger generation? You want to see the younger generation move forward, but you're not giving them the actual truths about the ins and outs of this quote unquote business that they trying to get into. I think that we should all give guidelines when it comes to certain fields of occupation, no matter what it is. Not so much as entertainment field, but just in general. Like prime example, given the fair warnings for those who might want to get into construction, prime example. It could be tiresome because in some instances you could be working more than 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, depending on what scenario you in. And you could be working 5, 6 days. Sometimes you might work 7, depending on what's going on. Are you going to be willing to, or are you going to be able to tolerate all of that? You know, this is why it's good to try to give the fair warnings and the messages when needed. You know, it's good to let people know, like, look, this sounds good, and this also may be something you interested in, but this is also what is required of this position. Are you willing to make the necessary, you know, compromises to do it? When it comes to bringing a solid message, no matter how you bring it, or when it comes to just trying to give people fair warnings on things, no matter how you bring it, guess what? You still have to bring it and be truthful about it. There's nothing wrong with giving positive reinforcement and encouragement where it's needed. Some of y'all are encouraging these people to utilize their talents. Good thing. But it's also a good thing to give a fair warning and a fair message, you know. Because again, in some instances, you don't necessarily have to sacrifice your morals, your integrities, or your principles just to get ahead in life, or just to try to get to the next step in life. The strongest tool, like I keep saying, is your brain. Always remember that. You are the one who has to make the decisions of how things in your life are going to go. And if you're going to utilize social media to do so, you got to remember that there are people watching. You have to set some form of an example and also still give a strong message. Because if you look at it, social media is being used by damn near everybody from every field, from entertainment all the way down to Wall Street. The thing is, again, to not misguide those who could be following you or watching you. The goal should be, more than anything, is just, hey, listen, this is what entails this situation. Is that something you willing to do? And if you are willing to do it, then hey, got to start from the bottom. You're gonna have to work your way up somewhere. No shortcuts, no days off at certain points. You know, if you want to get to your achievement, hey, you got to make it happen. Appreciate you for dropping those links to me, baby. Working hard in these damn security cameras, baby. I think it's always a good thing, though, that people are utilizing social media for the right things. Granted, it's playing a bigger part of everybody's livelihoods at some point. But again, when you are on here, it should be something solid that you bring. If you can give a variety, give a variety. See, I could use me for example. There's nothing wrong with having great dialect and conversations with people because at some point you'll get to the root of the problems that are causing some of the situations we see now, and then we could try to get towards change. You know? But again, stand firm in what you believe in, but keep giving out the best messages you can give out. And for those who always feel like things are not working or feel like they ready to quit, don't quit because you still got time to make things work. See, a lot of times things are not going to happen right away because if you don't have faith in it, it ain't going to come. If you don't get out there and try to build it, it ain't going to come. But you can't just go on faith alone when it comes down to just trying to elevate yourself. You really got to put in the groundwork. You got to see what's necessary. These talks right here, I feel are necessary because, again, broaden the horizons, but also bring realization to the people who don't want to accept reality. See, we can sit here and try to run away from a lot of different things, but at some point, we're going to have to talk about it. How do you sit back and not take that time to say, you know what, this is important. We definitely got to show a better blueprint for a better tomorrow. Now, again, there are some people who will sit here and give you the honest truths about things. And when they do give you the honest truths, guess what? They try to shut them down or people just don't want to hear them. There's always those levels of There's always those levels of complications that at some point it ceased to be a problem. Why? Because if you stand on what you stand on, the right people who believe in what you believe in, hey, they follow. You gotta think about it. Not everybody gonna be for everybody, and I understand that. Been understood that. The only thing I could say is that it's sad that in some instances, the things that really could be created and could actually cause a change in what we are going through now, it ain't happening because again, too much personal pride. That personal pride, especially when you feel like you're trying to be above somebody, it'll backfire on you. You gotta think about a lot of different things. Prime example, what you do around the kids, what you do around the teens, it reflects. And guess what? They're gonna emulate everything that was just done. I was saying in some instances, how do we expect certain violence not to happen when we seeing the grown ups doing the same exact thing? Like I spoke about it last night. There's multiple ways to deal with certain situations and scenarios. And it doesn't always have to lead towards a violent exchange or even an unaliving. And that's the message that really should be pushed, you know. But again, in some scenarios, we got grown folks who are supposed to be grown still moving like a child. See, again, this is where we have to teach about discipline and maturity when it comes down to certain aspects of life. Like I said yesterday, if this is not instilled in these young ones when it's critical, the world at some point will humble them, or the world will definitely take a chunk out of them. So, whatever message you are pushing, whether it's through music, whether it's through arts, whether it's through business, anything, even the content creation, just make sure that there's a message. And also make sure, again, it's a safe zone no matter what. Like prime example, you can't throw a party and then don't have some form of security there because you never know what can happen. But I would say in some instances it's sad that people just can't come together for the simplest things that could be beneficial. And again, send a positive reinforcement and the message to the younger generation. Like I was saying before, how can we expect the young ones to have some form of respect and some form of dignity about themselves when there's some of y'all that's crashing all the way the hell out? And again, it doesn't matter what platform you're utilizing, you're crashing out worse than they are right now. If you was able to figure out everything as far as how to utilize things, how to grow, and how to structure yourself and your channels and your platforms, then again, it shouldn't cost you your dignities or your morals to get where you need to get to. And that's the solid message you should be sending all around the board. You know? But again, when it comes to these type of conversations, some people don't want to hear it. Some people honestly don't care. And again, it shows. For those who are lucky to be a part of that social media space and you're doing the best and the most positive that you can do, continuously keep doing it. Because you're making a world of a difference, even if you don't see it. You know? But yeah, it's good that we utilize what we utilize and we do what's necessary. And the goal is to try to do what you can do. If you want to build for a better tomorrow, you got to know what you're aiming for. What exactly are you trying to build? What exactly are you trying to bring? And if you feel it is going to be something where it will create opportunities all around the board, then hey, you know, sit back and figure out everything you need to figure out. And then from there, again, carefully execute a plan, and then you do what's necessary. You know, but again, also push the positivity while you can do so. We know everything in life ain't always going to be peachy keen. You know that, but just because things might not be going your way, that doesn't mean that there ain't something greater that's about to happen. See, again, there are some things that just don't happen overnight. They take time, dedication, and a hard grind for you to get there. And that's the message that should be preached all around the board, even from different cylinders. I've seen some people that you would think are the most negative, but they actually have a positive message in the middle of everything that's going on. See, a positive message could come from anywhere. Positive insight can come from anywhere. Again, it's about reading the message clearly. See, again, what some people are trying to perceive and utilize as cool, it ain't cool when you're giving out the wrong message again. Like some are promoting the jail life. Some of y'all promoting it to the point where, again, you don't know who's following. You don't know who's watching you. And all you're doing is creating the wrong message. When you're glorifying things that you know for a fact shouldn't be glorified, especially from a moral standpoint, you're defeating the purpose. See, that's the thing. You know, when people get the right support, and I'm talking about just all around the board, things start to look up for those people. You know, and it shows again that you have people who are solidly behind you. And no matter what endeavors that you do. And I think that's another message that should be pushed out. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's good to have these talks all around the board, even if some talks have already been had. So what? There's multiple ways to attack these talks. See, there's some people who say they love and support their people, but their actions speak louder than their words. Don't say that you support people who are bringing positive messages and content, but then you ain't being a part of it. You're not truly, genuinely being a part of it and supporting it. There's multiple ways to support, right? Like I said, it doesn't matter what occupation you're doing. When you have the right people who want to see you continuously win and grow, they're gonna beat it, no matter what. Angela, baby. You know, the thing is just reading people. You know, like I look at certain things, even on here, and I see there are some things that could have possibly been game changers for, the platform as a whole. But because again, people want to be above each other and they want to rip and tear down the most important fabrics of what's going on, which is the important bill, it can never happen. There are some who can make it happen. That's because they on the same boat. They already know what the general message and consensus is, and they sticking to it. The thing to notice though is that some people do not want positive out or positive messages being sent out. Some people think it's far fetched, but it ain't that far fetched. Because look how many positive people are actually bringing positive things, not just on social media, but even in real time. Look at the people who are trying to bring something or bring some form of great opportunities for those. And they can't seem to fathom that. You know, they can't seem to fathom that there are people who are going to get tired of some of the same old repeated destructions and they're going to band together. See, it'll only be a matter of time before something else happens where now everybody again will be banded up. It should be like that when it comes down to trying to create something for the future legacies. You know, These people are conflicting and delusional about who's really in their corner. Now, that's a fact. That's a whole fact series. And see, that's the thing. Some people just have to realize that the people who actually support and ride with you, shoot, they can have all the disagreements they want, but that don't mean they ain't backing you and supporting you and vice versa. See, where some people will fall out over something stupid, most people ain't falling out over nothing stupid. It's just about having a calm, level head when you're dealing with certain things, especially when you're trying to build something. This is a reinforced message for those who need to hear it. If you're doing what you love, if you're doing what's bringing you peace and joy, doesn't matter if it's bringing you big money, little money, or no money. If you're doing something that you like and is bringing value to your life, you continuously keep doing that. Chrissy, baby. And that's the thing. You gotta love the fact that, again, you're doing something that's conducive to your life. See, some people don't get that message because they too busy trying to pander, or they trying to just do whatever that they feel is going. Well, if I do this, then more people are your genuine self. You add certain elements to what you need to add to, but you never compromise who you are as a person. I've always felt like this, and this is just straight up. Um, if you stand on it, continue standing on it. Once you already made a decision, there's no going back from that. Now, when you have choices, you could decide which choice is going to be good for you overall. And then once you make that careful decision and you decide to stand on it, you keep doing what's necessary. See, I think I know one reason why some people are not going to be great leaders. They're going to be spectacular leaders. Because again, it's all about just utilizing the one powerful tool that you know you have, which is your brain. You know, there's going to be things that work out for you, there's going to be things that don't work out. But the one thing to remember is you don't quit. You keep finding ways to try to include the best things in your life, period. Life is not easy. You know, sometimes you might go down a hard road. One thing to remember is not to wander around aimlessly. You do have a destination in life. For some, your destination is going to be being in powerful positions. And if you end up getting into a powerful position, how are you going to utilize what power you do have? Is it going to be something positive, or are you going to fall into the trap of just being a Scrooge, basically? For some people, your positions may be just what it is. It could be music. It could be arts. Hey, it could be production on all cylinders. You could end up being an actor. You could end up being a general physician. You can end up being a nurse. You can end up being a cop. You can end up being the FBI. Whatever you are deciding that you're trying to go down, as far as the road is concerned, just make sure you reach your destination. You take your pit stops when you need to. You check on everything to make sure your engine good, and you keep going. See, the motivation for life should just be continue to motivate yourself, continue to push yourself. You'll see the difference it makes. And when you have a good or even an awesome understanding of things, oh, trust me, everything will fall right in line for you. When you have an awesome support group on all angles, you're gonna continue to keep going far because again, you have extra added motivation. The goal in life is to always keep yourself inspired. Even if you try new things, still inspire. You know, again, there's some of y'all who have a strong voice. You have a strong following. You know, you couldn't be the voice of the people, the voice of the voiceless. But again, make sure that there's a solid message when you're bringing that message. See, some people would think that with me, prime example, being judgmental. That's what some people would think. Others know that's not even the case. Some people would say I'm worried about everybody else. Well, ain't you supposed to be worried about certain things in life? You want to make sure that you are elevating with the right people, right? That's supposed to be the goal. Elevating, right? So you want to make sure you're not elevating with people who are going to continuously try to bring you down. When they don't believe in you, you get away from them. And this message is for anybody of any age. And you have people who really don't believe in what you're doing, when you got people who don't want to see you win, get the fuck away from them. It's true facts. Again, real people are going to keep encouraging you and keep inspiring you for greatness. But also remember, real people are going to be realistic about certain things. It's always good to take some form of advice when need be, but majority of the time, you have to map out what you have to map out. Like when I came in this content space, I came in this content space because this ain't nothing new. It's nothing for me to go live and just talk with the people. This was something I was doing on another platform before this. You know, difference is, like I said, everybody knows you on the other platform and knows you personally. So nothing different. See, again, we can't deny and run away from these talks. See, like prime example, some of us came in the era where, guess what? We had people that was inspiring us. Not saying that we didn't see negative or come across negative at some points, but most of the time, you had the right ones that was trying to see the best for you, whether they was related to your ass or not. They wanted to see the best come from you. We'll say that we want to see the best happen for the future generations, but we're not showing them how. We're not showing them the basics. And I think that's important. Showing the basics. These are things that not need to just be taught at home, but just taught all around the board. Jared, what's going on, my guy? Y'all already know, if y'all just tuned in, hit the like button. And if y'all new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Like prime example, I'm going to use this as a prime example. I said it last night, and I'm going to say it again. How do y'all expect certain things to hit the algorithm, or how do y'all expect certain things to get to a higher position when you're not hitting that like button? And I don't care what platform you're on. It's important that you say you support these people, then make sure those likes get up. See, like I said, when it comes to any form of positive content, message, or just good talk with the people, they don't want to see that. And that's from anybody. I've seen this happen on plenty of occasions and plenty of these different platforms. You have people out there who are actually speaking about real life situations and topics, things that we should be, chiming in on. Because again, it's about trying to bring change, right? You know? Oh shoot, happy birthday, Jerry. My bad. Happy birthday, my guy. Y'all all wish Jared a happy birthday, man. Like prime example. I'm gonna utilize this portion again. Not hitting the like button. Don't say you support people and that you rock with those people, but you're not doing that simple thing. Because that's supposed to be important. Now, if you can hit the like button and put all the wrong shit in the algorithm, how you don't want to put the right stuff in the algorithm? Royal, baby. That's something to think about. You know, I've watched this happen. I've seen some good and some great people who are doing positive content all around the board. You think they getting that love and support? They might be getting that love and support from the core group or the core audience, but it ain't reaching out there the way it should be reaching out there. That's why I said we can utilize these platforms for something great. And even for those right now who feel a type of way, don't feel a type of way when it comes down to what you're doing. Because again, this will kind of make some people say, well, then shoot, what am I doing this for? But don't give up. Because again, good things come to those who are patient. Good things come to those who believe in what they stand on. You know, I've always believed that. Give me 1 second, y'all. I appreciate you, sis. You already. I was just giving the general message, though. I always want people too to understand this. I'm just saying things from a real perspective right now. Prime example, like when I spoke about support, I wasn't talking about I wasn't just talking about support on social media. I'm talking about support all around the board. Like prime example, supporting those young ones who really are trying to make something good out of themselves, right? Even if they are coming from messed up situations, they're trying their damnedest to change the outlook on things, and they trying to also show people that there's hope. But when you don't have solid people supporting even them, that's a problem. Like I said, you be quick to support some bullshit, but you won't support something that actually means something. Prime example, like I said one time before, if there's young ones who are trying to do something great, they trying to be their own entrepreneurs and their own business, own businessmen and women, you know, guess what? You should be supporting that. And I mean that with the most sincerity. You should be trying to support that because at least they're not out here trying to rob, steal, kill, and do anything else just to try to get a dollar bill. That's important. Oh shoot, I forgot. Happy pre-birthday, sis. I forgot yours coming. Uh-huh. I got all the Virgos in the building. All the Virgos in the building. I see y'all in here shining. I see y'all in here shining. But this is what I'm saying. What do you support? You know, I've always felt if you're going to support something great. Support something that's actually worth it. When you support nonsense, Hey, it goes to show some people exactly what they need to see. You know, like prime example, if you got these young ones that are trying to be, they trying to be chefs, prime example. They trying to be professional cooks, world renowned chefs and all of that. Why not support their dream? If that's what they good at, if that's what they love to do. And if they ain't trying to con nobody, you definitely get behind that. And that's what I'm saying. What do you generally support? Because if you claim to love and support your people, shouldn't be no issue with again keeping that encouragement and that positivity going for them. Shoot, even if you feel like you can help them in certain aspects or give them certain tips, why not even do that? That makes everything better. Again, they need that strength and reinforcement. The younger generation is only getting worse because we ain't teaching them nothing but worse. So I said when it comes down to some scenarios, we can't just always point and put the finger down on the next person. No, we got to take accountability as well too. Our actions and the things that we do, it causes that ripple effect, whether you believe it or not. You know, why not get behind supporting somebody who is trying to do something better for themselves, who's not trying to repeat a cycle? The goal is to try to push success all around the board. Don't just push success on the negative aspects of life, because again, that's still being a part of that broken cycle that we speak about. You know? That's why, again, it's important to know what you're bringing as far as a message. This is a message that's needed because, again, we have people who will support all the wrong stuff and won't support something that's actually beneficial. What side of the fence do you stand on? You know, but yeah, it's important. It's important to understand that until get back to that notion of pushing strength and positivity, it's a lot of things that's going to continuously crumble. Like I spoke last night, and I do mean what I say, especially when it comes down to some of you parents. Even if your child decides they want to try to be something in life, how they gonna get there when they don't have no respect, no discipline, no principles? How can they make it anywhere when you're not trying to push them somewhere? That's what I'm saying. You got to remember that part. You know, you want the best product or you want the best production coming from your offspring, or even if it's your niece, your nephews, cousins, the younger generation in your family, you want the best product. Again, be the best product. You want the best production, show them how the production should be done. Like I said, teach them the ins and outs. When you see the young ones are trying to build their own, hey, support that. Because it's rare you'll have them young ones that are really trying to do that, at least right now. Because it seems from what I've seen, mostly everybody, like I said, is just trying to be a follower. Oh, oh, you already know, sis. Royal, come on now. You was one of the originals when this channel wasn't shit. You already know ain't nothing changed with me. The scenery might have changed a little bit as far as the people, but hey, I'm not going to be able to do that. If I change, I'm going to change for 12 seconds of my life. And y'all going to get a laugh out of that. So shoot, I can't change who I am as a person. I can't help that I am who I am. What I can do is continue to move the path that I've been moving. And again, showing a prime example of somebody who is just trying to see better. Like I said, there are a lot of things we know for a fact could change. But again, we can't just push all of the heavy weight and push all the burden on the younger generation. We got to be able to help steer that direction too. I know there's going to be some people who are going to slip through the cracks. That's because, like I said, they already been the belly of the beast too long. But for those who still got time and space and opportunity, why not give the best positive messages that we could get? Give me 1 second. And that's the thing though. Like, we have to realize that, again, the messages that we are presenting to the world around us has to be consistent. It has to continuously be consistent. Because again, how do we expect them to do any better when we're not showing them better? Again, some are going to slip through the cracks, others are not. And some people are just caught in the middle of stuff. But guess what? If you show them that there are different ways to get into higher spaces and higher mountains of life and be realistic about it, you'll see the changes. You have people who, again, are coming from terrible backgrounds but have made successes out of themselves. Why? Because they didn't quit. And because they had people who actually cared. See, at one point, the community, like I said, cared. This is why the numbers, as far as what's going on with these youth, the numbers wasn't as high back in the day as it is now. As far as them not knowing much or not building much, or hey, that's because everybody has some form of knowledge and wisdom to bestow upon the younger ones. When you see that some of them are adamant on trying to do certain things that they like to do and got knowledge on themselves, then hey, you try to encourage them and you try to uplift them the best way possible throughout positive reinforcement and encouragement. Again, we say that we expect better, or we trying to lower the numbers when it comes down to imprisonment and everything else. But hey, right now it seems like we're in a generation where even some of the parents, again, don't care. You don't care what's going on with your child as long as your child is not unalived. That's basically what you're saying. And that's for those who need to hear it again. You don't care about what's going on with your child until something bad really does happen. You want to get the best out of your offspring. You want to get the best out of the younger generation. You're going to have to show them. Stand tall and stand firm. But again, Be logical and be reasonable. You got to remember, some people ain't going to get the message right off the rip. Some people are not going to get certain things right away. It has to be consistent teaching and training. Train their minds to be better and to think better. But when you have some of you adults on these different playing fields just doing all sorts of messery, guess what? I ain't gonna say fuckery. Too late. Already did it. Basically, when there's too much fuckery going on, that's what they gonna perceive the world as, and that's what they gonna continue to follow. I'm sorry, but it's time for some of the actual messages to come out clear as day, so people don't get misconstrued. Utilize what you're supposed to utilize. Your brain. Take the time to think. What happens for good reasons, you use that as continuous positive motivation and moving forward with what you're doing. Yeah, I know. I know. I was trying not to say it, y'all. My bad. See, again, there are some messages I try to keep the cursing to a minimum. Because at some points, when I start having these live streams again, the way I'm doing them, there ain't going to be too much cursing. Barely going to be anything. Because again, don't know who watching. It could be somebody young who's going through something I speak about. They could be listening. The point again is just trying to get a message across. You're supposed to get behind and generally support those who want to see something and see change in their life. You're also supposed to do that for yourself. So, why not utilize it the best way? I ain't perfect, but I ain't claim to be perfect. But I do believe in my message. I do believe in positive reinforcement and change. And if this counts as being a motivational speaker, then I guess this is my profession for now. At least on here. You want to see people do better. I'm all for the laughter, the fun, the entertainment, and all that. But in the same token, still got to be a message behind everything that's being brought to social media. You know? Oh, no. I'm going to always speak my piece, serious. You know that. But there are going to be some messages I'm not going to put for, I'm going to put it out there. I'm a strong believer, and again, trying to bring the best positive out of anybody, even down to the younger generation. I ain't perfect. I ain't never claimed to be perfect, but I ain't no mess up neither. I would like to see a lot of different things happen. When it's 18 and over, I'm gonna be cursing like a sailor. But in some instances, I've had some live streams where again, I ain't barely heard a curse out of it. That's because when I believe in that positive message, I'm gonna try to bring it as positive as possible. There's sometimes I am going to be raw and uncut. When I'm raw and uncut, that's because it's needed. This is why I'm saying it's always important again to try to uplift people the best way possible. Sometimes even adults, the young adults need uplifting. I said the young adults. Don't get that twisted. Because by a certain point in your life, you should already be knowing what's what and knowing how to just come across what you need to come across. Your path in life. But to be quite honest, we all need encouragement, uplifting when we are going through our toughest times. I'm not saying that we don't, but some of my messages spread all around the board. It ain't just for the adults. Some of it is for the youth. Because you never know, there could be somebody that's watching in the shadows, man. But that's the whole fact series. I know that part. Like I said, nothing in life is perfect. But again, that's the beauty of it. It's beautiful when you have people who really do come on, and not just this platform, but multiple platforms, and bring some form of truth and wisdom, but bring some knowledge too. Again, reinforcing the message. And for a lot of y'all, you cry about why these things are not changing or why we can't get to a better place. But some of y'all utilizing social media the wrong way. You want it to be better, you gotta reach the people. If you reach the people, or if you're lucky to reach massive people, they'll be truthful about what you're bringing. Stand firm on it. Like if you're an advocate, prime example, if you're an advocate against sexual attacks and molestation and pedophilia and all of that, then stand on that. If you're an advocate for trying to encourage people about business, learning about stocks and bonds, learning about overall how to handle money, stand on that. If you're going to add anything to whatever you're bringing, cool. The goal is to keep the people not just watching, but also keep the people believing in hope. I would hope at some point, especially amongst the melanated folks in our community, that we will get back to where we once was as a whole. We wasn't just unified and negative. We was unified all around the board. It would be nice if we could get back to that so we could start changing and fixing the things that need to be fixed. We can't just keep relying on people to fix our problems. We should be able to fix our own. But how can we fix our own when we click to damage and destroy everything? That's just like bringing something into the community, and before a month has even passed, and I've been vandalized, and I've been robbed, and I've been like, come on now. And you expect things to stay in motion the way it's supposed to stay in motion? Just giving a dose of reality. See, when I give a dose of reality, that's because, again, I see this every day. Just like prime example earlier, I had a situation in my building, and you figured at a certain time these kids would be in school, right? Nope. I don't even think they went to school, but they were so focused on trying to be grown. See, that's the thing that we gotta start breaking down. Don't matter if it's your child or not. There are some things, adults, you have to correct these young ones. That's how it starts, getting back to that stage of things. Like prime example, all of these ones was young teens, and I'm gonna say young teens because don't know them to look over the age of 13, 14. You worried about getting high with your friends and trying to be cool, but you're not worried about trying to educate yourself. You're not worried about trying to do something better with your life. That's the problem right there. Like I said, I ain't perfect, but in the same token, I ain't promoting nothing I don't need to promote to these young ones. Some people can't or won't change because of systematically negative people that drains them. So that's a whole fact. What the hell? This nigga almost broke his neck just now. My bad, y'all. Careful on that bike. That's what I'm saying. In order for some of these conversations to go somewhere, and in order for some of these conversations to actually be game changers, you got to be people that's willing to change in the game and bring change to the game. See, it's simple to say one thing, but when you're not really bringing it the way you're supposed to bring it, and when you're not living by it, that's a problem. Like I said, how do we expect some of the younger generation to learn discipline, respect, dignity when some of us adults are not showing that same thing we supposed to be pushing? For real. You know, gotta be responsible. And you gotta think about it too. When you're trying to build, even if it's on him, you want to make sure you're building the right things. And you want to give that positive, encouraging message that it could be done same way for those who are watching, if that's what they decide they're going to do. See, again, you have choices in life. Whatever your choice is, especially if it's going to be dealing with any form of social media and internet, you better make sure you know what you bring into the forefront. Your blueprint need to be clear and solid, and then you just move from there. And always remember this too: in order to get somewhere great, or in order to get to a bigger playing field, you got to start off small. You know, no doubt, Angela. Appreciate you, baby. Facts, Royal. That's what I'm saying. Hold on 1 second. Drop this link in case anybody want to chime in. But yeah, you have to. You know, in life, you have to make careful choices, and you have to make careful decisions. The wrong choices could lead to an irrash decision, and it could cost you. Like if you're choosing not to get over your emotions and you decide to let it get the best of you, you could end up doing something to somebody, and guess what? There is no coming back from that. That's a decision that you decided to make, and when you make that decision, you're gonna have to stand on it, and just know that there's consequences behind that. That's a message that's not being pushed out there as much. And for those who are pushing the message and getting the message across, again, keep doing what you're doing. I commend you. It ain't easy, especially when you have to deal with a lot of negative reactions and pushbacks. See, again, in some instances, that positive message you're trying to send is going to be hard to really get out there and actually stick into the people's minds, because some people, they don't care about nothing. If it ain't concerning them, they don't care. Which is a sad thing. Uh, that's what I'm saying. Gotta keep pushing that positive message. Positive things can happen if you keep yourself motivated and determined. 1609, what's going on, my guy? That's what I'm saying. We try to overlook or underlook certain scenarios, but again, we're gonna have to come down to the realization. You know, how do you push a better message towards the younger generation? How do you push a message that's supposed to be positive in the right direction, even to those who might need it? So you just keep pushing it. You don't let nothing stop you from trying to be your best you. And you definitely don't let nothing stop you from what you really believe in. See, I believe in my messages. That's why I go hard the way I do. At one point, some of y'all know I was going live damn near 3-4 times a day. When I was doing that, it wasn't just bringing messages. It was also showing people that this is what you're going to have to do in order for you to build up your watch hours and do all that other stuff. I was given a multitask and a multiple variety of things. But every time you turned around, we had a message. Still continuing having a message. These messages don't change. The grind don't change. You might put certain things into aspects. Cool. You want to put certain things in perspective. That's even better. Again, knowing what you are trying to bring, if you're going to bring something as far as social media is concerned, that is something that you should think about before you just pop up anywhere. And again, if you don't believe in yourself, trust me, nobody else is going to believe in you. That's why it's important to keep, again, sending out those messages. Some people will say, "Oh, you saying the same things." Yeah, you're right. You got to say the same things in some instances. Because again, it's about generalizing that message. How we expect greater things to happen amongst us when we ain't trying to be a part of the greatness. Oh. See, like prime example, I've met some great people throughout these sectors that I've been through. And there's still sectors I haven't been through. Some people that came from other channels and other platforms. And it's just support. That's positive support all around the board. Because at some point, people are going to get tired of the negative drama. People are going to get tired of certain things and they're going to want to hear something that's realistic. And I would say for those who are pushing that message, continue to push it. Continue to elevate yourself. Continue to elevate with the people who generally support you. And I say that again because I'm going to tell you, there are some people that once they turn off their device, they living in real life. They living in the actual world, dealing with actual problems and scenarios. So that's something to think about too. If you're giving yourself to the people, you got to give yourself as well. And sometimes you might have to take that step back. It's good to recharge and get refocused, especially when you are bringing a certain message or you're bringing certain building to your platforms. Even if you are building out of social media, which some people are, you still got to make sure you're building around the right people. Being able to read people is a good thing. And even if you feel you can't get a good read, sometimes you're just going to have to let things play out. And trust me, you'll get everything you need to get from just that right there. Again, it starts at home. But it's not just also what's learned at home. It's what's being learned in society. Again, our community structure has somewhat crumbled because, again, back in the day, even when we did see some forms of negative that we shouldn't have seen, there was more positive that was being shown. How do we expect them to elevate themselves in life and become better, productive people when we're not giving them the keys and the tools to do so? Marlene, baby. That link is in the chat, I believe, if anybody want to chime in. And just like I said, it's something that you should think about. You know, the best way to deliver a message a lot of times is just be real about it. No holds barred. Tell it like it is. Be truthful about it. And it'll start when some people actually learn to start utilizing their brain more. It'll happen when some people actually start telling the truth and start caring more. That's why I keep things the way I keep it. We always gonna have some great talks and conversations. You know, some might be too painful for some to stay around, but hey, these are talks that are needed. Again, these talks do lead to something, whether it's healing, whether it's solving problems, whatever. How can we get to a better place if we're not having the right discussions? Straight up. The message that should be pushed and the message that is being pushed again is again, want to be solid in what we show the younger generation. If you're going to show them something positive, continue to do it. And see, like I said, I've met some great people. Got some great people in here now as we speak. See, again, not everybody is going to want to deal with certain things, right? Get that. You decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do things, right? It is your book of life. But in your book of life, you don't just add the negative, you add the good and the ugly. And sometimes the ugliness will be the truth. And the ugly truth right now, as far as our community and our society, is that again, everybody is for self and not trying to help build. How we gonna build and instill encouragement, principles, morals, and dignity into the younger generation? How we gonna show them that they don't necessarily have to do everything just to belong? Because some people are doing things just to belong somewhere. It's good to just be to self and let the people flock around you. Where some people are breaking their necks to be in the in crowd, most people ain't. You're gonna have those who are perfectly fine. I'm comfortable with what I got. I'm comfortable in who I am as a person, and that should be the most important thing. You have to teach these young ones about self-respect, but also self-validation. You don't need validation from your friends to prove that you down or to prove anything. The people that stay around and the people who want to see you do well are the ones that you ain't got to say much to. They already know what it is. And there are some great people who do great positive content and motivation all around the board. Like I said, a couple of them is in this chat. You know. Oh, hold on. I gotta drop it again. I got you. Yeah, I got you. Hold on. Yeah, I didn't pin it this time because I didn't know how long I was going to be on, but I felt like tonight was just another night of a good message we need to start getting across again. Take our time and try to instill the right knowledge and information. And some of these people will actually follow into a better path. Again, you can't say that you're down and you're supporting certain things, but you're really not being a part of that support. Support these young ones who are trying to do something with their lives. and support people who really need the general support. I got you. Hold on. Marlene, baby.
Hey, Nate.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Nothing. I really like your topic tonight.
Uh, I
Hmm.
appreciate you. I mean, it's something that need to be said. I mean, we have these talks and discussions, but we need to have more of them.
Yeah, it's a lot of times people just people need to have more conversations and talk, but you already know that people just want to sugarcoat things and not say stuff that they know that they need to say.
Yeah, but see, when you try to sugarcoat things or you try to go around those topics, they end up coming back full surface. You gotta think about it. You know, I can have a conversation about right now anything basically, but we know for a fact if you try to eliminate certain problems by not talking about it, it's gonna come up. You know, like that's just like with the parents. As much as you want to avoid certain talks, you're gonna have those talks when your kids start getting of a certain age, so they could be more wise and responsible. So,
Hmm. Yep, that's the truth. It's the things that people try to avoid, then they don't like it, like when maybe a friend or somebody, the wrong people occupy your kid's mind. Now you get mad. Yeah, but a lot of they don't want to talk about it, but they need to.
yeah, I mean, and that's important to do so because again, like prime example, like I said last night, you're not teaching them about that birds and the bees talk. Don't be surprised when you get you about to be a grandmother or you about to be a great grandmother. Hold on, Tisha Renee. I already think I know who this is. You using your name today.
Hmm.
Hey, Letitia, baby. What's going on, sis? What's going on? I see you in here. I
Hey.
appreciate everybody that's tuning in.
Yeah, what you just said right there, Nate, about people not having to talk about birds and the bees. Back in the day, people didn't talk about nothing, all kinds of stuff. And it's not just saying as a parent or whoever, I feel uncomfortable. Think about how when you don't have those conversations, now you're going to allow other people to school them on things. And it's a lot of people whose mind is demented. Do you want them to have those conversations with you, with your kids? Better not. You better have the conversation. Show them how. Yep. So
Nah,
important.
that's a whole fact right there. You know, that's what I'm saying. You know, see, like every generation, despite certain mishaps and scenarios, you know, you had the people in the community that was going to school you on something. And the majority of the time, they was going to school you on something that you need to hear. But boy, what you think you about to do? Man, listen, you know what to do with this? Oh, okay, well, here. Let's see if you really know what to do with this. And put them in a position like, oh, okay. Oh, they was, yeah, like, if this is what you want to do, this is what you're going to have to do. Are you willing to do that? You know, we gave a message all around the board. Like, there was some kids who got steered away from the streets because they had people who actually cared. What you talking about? You want to do this? Are you sure this is what you want to do? Okay. See what the
Yep.
consequences is going to be. And sure enough, they done changed their mind. Like, oh shoot, this is really. Nah, I ain't doing this.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that a lot of times parents, what they'll do is they just say no, but they don't explain why. I'm
Yeah,
saying no because this is what will happen. Your life is going to change like this. Even trying to warn children so that they don't become a part of the prison system.
yeah,
Got to talk about stuff, not just saying don't do it and saying no all the time. You have to give them the reasons why it's no, and show them the evidence, take them places, take them over to the jail, make them see, well, what happened to you if you keep going down this road, and talk to girls and boys about, okay, if you do this, this is how you're going to be perceived. Is that how you want to be looked at? You got to really talk to them.
Facts. And that's why I said it's important, to keep trying to push that message. Like I said, for some people, it ain't easy because you're going to always deal with some form of negative, but you don't allow that to stop you from doing so. And that's a message I'm pushing today for anybody that is trying to do whatever. Again, don't allow anything to stop you. If you are determined on getting a better place, hey, you're gonna have to continuously make them steps forward. And that's what we should be teaching these young ones. Like even when life is, throwing them a hardball, giving them the strength to throw it back, and also just, realizing that again, life is precious. And life could also be too short for some. So while
Yeah,
you are here, you should be trying to do something.
right. Exactly. And also teaching kids that there's nothing wrong with doing things the right way. Work hard, save your money, and don't try to go after the fast life, because that fast life, you may get that money quick, but the pain after, there's a lot of consequences to that fast money and that fast lifestyle.
Facts. That fast lifestyle will have you crashing out in the worst ways. And I've seen this happen. I've seen this from experience. I've seen this happen with some people. Like, oh, I'm comfortable doing this, or I know I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and then you finally get wrapped up in something, and now look, you're gonna be sitting away for what reason? And you didn't necessarily have to do it.
Yep. That's right. You have to give kids options, and not just what you want your kids to do, but ask them, what do you want to do with your life? You know, give them some mentors, put them in programs. If you see they're talented at something, put them around those people who know how to do those things, so they can see, okay, you can turn this into a career. This is how much money you can make the right way.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with teaching that. I mean, like some people will try to knock somebody who's either working a 9 to 5 or somebody that's working, period, but that's a part of life. If you want certain things, you're gonna have to work for it. Prime example, you think you gonna get a big house or you gonna get a decent house or a car, whatever. It takes money to do so, and sometimes that fast money it might help to some degree. You might think it's helping to some degree, but it's helping the wrong parts. It's helping you realize that at some point you're gonna get caught. It's helping you realize that it ain't gonna be as easy as it comes. Because that's the thing with that fast money. Sometimes money ain't gonna be coming through at all. So you gotta think about it. If you think you out here hustling, prime example, guess what? Yeah, you might have some good days, but then you gonna have days where that shit is slow as hell. So what you gonna do then when you can't even make the ends meet for the day? You gonna be stuck holding whatever you hold.
Yep. Put yourself in that kind of situation, and it's like you block yourself out from other things, because when you live that fast lifestyle, you know, get have a record and stuff, it's like you really can't get the right straight and narrow lifestyle, because you put yourself in a situation,
Yeah,
jam yourself up.
yeah. And some of y'all are not built for that. That's why I said I have these messages because it's like even down to the younger adults, y'all got people that's up under you probably watching you, or you'd be surprised who actually idolizes you or actually looks up to you. So it's up to you to keep setting that example. Like I just had somebody I had a whole bunch of people even on my block the other day. Yo, I'll give niggas respect. That nigga always at work. That nigga always working. Yeah, because come on now. What do I look like not trying to build and continuously build? And how can you do anything if you ain't trying to do something? Even if I was creating my own and doing my own thing. That's something that wasn't gonna stop me because I always had that hustler's mentality. Anything I decided I was going to do, I was going to stick to it until I got to my goal points. Hold on, Roy. What you just said? I ain't messing with you, sis. I'll start that madness in here. Don't start it in here.
And
Y'all don't start it in here, sis. I ain't messing with you.
yeah, and it's like other people will appreciate you for what you do and look up to you, and you don't even know because they don't tell you, but you don't really do it for that, but you are affecting other people, and especially young people who look up to you. So be a good role model, be a good example.
Facts. Like I said, I had a couple of these people the other day, and all of them still in their young 20s. Hey, yo, sir, I respect that. Hey, Nate, don't be just sitting around. They go to work and they do what he do. I say, yeah, because again, what's the purpose on doing certain things if you're not going to try to live and have fun? And I said, man, listen, I work, but when I don't work, I try to at least get out and utilize whatever I'm going to utilize for the day. Try to get into whatever. Like I said, you ain't going to know what's going to be around or what good things will come to you if you're just sitting in one spot all day. You got to move around. You got to be able to elevate. And like I said, even when it come down to content creation, like I was telling somebody, I said if you building on multiple platforms, you just gotta be consistent.
Yeah, that's facts, Nate. So I just wanted to come up and give you some support. I'm about to drop down, but I enjoyed the commentary.
I appreciate you. You already know anytime the link is pinned or the link need to be pinned, you already know.
Well, thank
Um,
you.
so-
Blessings to the chat. Thank you.
Now who's Hassan? No disrespect, brother man. I don't think it's the same Hassan that was just in here earlier. And it's not. Yeah, well, my bad, bro. If this is the real Hassan, which I doubt, because I already know the real Hassan is black. I don't just allow people up here that ain't really been on here. Nah, Hassan was in the chat, but this was earlier in the chat, I believe. This ain't the same Hassan, and I don't trust nothing. Like I said, let me get something clear to some people before I even finish off tonight, because I feel like I said everything I need to say. And shout outs again to Marlene for popping in. Appreciate you, sis. You already know, baby. Let me break down the ground rules. If you ain't somebody that already been on here or somebody that I really have some form of dealings with as far as conversation, don't think you just popping up on here. If you ain't even typing the chat and you just popping on my stage, don't think I'm letting you up on my stage. Just letting you know that right now. Because I'm aware there's still people doing things like porn bombing and just trying to mess up the content. Tonight ain't one of those nights. Because I got time. I really have time. See, this is one thing I would say too for some people. Some people will get watered off. Some people will get how I'm saying this right now. My bad, y'all. I'm multitasking. The hell is this fool doing? Yeah, I'm watching cameras too. My bad, y'all. I'm over here multitasking, speaking to y'all too. Oh, never mind. Digging in the garbage. Never mind. Collect those bottles. I ain't mad at you. Collect those bottles, sir. But again, for those who need to hear it, don't think for a minute I'm just gonna allow you on the platform and you ain't been up here before, or you ain't even typing a chat, or you ain't even letting it be known that you are subbed up to the channel or anything. I haven't been on this app a little too long to be trying to fall for any tricks. And see, this is the problem. When people are trying to get to a certain place, they ain't got time for none of that nonsense and trying to take away from the positive content. Trying to get away from that will catch you a eulogy. And I haven't performed one in such a long time, but it's not needed. Because again, I'm not giving energy where it's not needed. So if you ain't bringing something of context or bringing any form of greatness to the conversation, don't think you just popping up here. But overall, though, the reason why some people feel it's hard to build or hard to try to get to a higher place is because, again, you're going to have ignorance coming from all cylinders. If you're somebody who's not easily distracted or deterred, I would tell you to continue to do what you've been doing because this is what comes with the territory. You know, yeah, I see. I'm gonna have another live stream again about chat etiquette for some people. See, this is why you gotta have these conversations all around the board because again, you never know who's watching. And some people need to get the gist right now. You know, this is a problem why some people want to move away from some of these platforms because we have people who don't really want to see nothing positive happen. They don't. And it's sad though, because again, you're trying to do certain things that are going to destroy the content. You think people got time to be playing around, restarting lives, or trying to edit something because you wanted to be an asshole about something? It ain't going to work with me. I would tell you this straight up right now so we don't have no more anything. If you feel you have something you need to say or want to say it with your chest. If you're not going to do anything outside of be immature, you're not welcome to it. Point blank. I'm all for the fun and games, but the one thing I ain't playing around with is the content. So tonight was a positive night, and it's gonna continue to be a positive night. So spread the word. Top Shots is back. Come on now. At some point, this is why I said maturity and mental maturity is a must. But there are some adults out there who really are doing that, moving worse than the children. This is why, again, it's hard to really create and build certain things, even within your own realms and community. Because as long as you have people who are pulling childish pranks and just being childish overall, you ain't gonna get nowhere far. Like I said, it's good to have these positive talks and messages. And yes, we will be having people up here bringing that into the conversations. And for some of y'all who think I don't know who the hell to let up on this stage, you got me all the way twisted. I learned from eons ago that, again, you didn't come in here, you didn't say what up to the host, you didn't say what up to the people. If you ain't people I recognize, you ain't coming up here. So try that porn bombing shit somewhere else. Try that trolling shit somewhere else. Because surely, if not surely, it's going to land you in a hot seat. Kid you not. I think I'm going to have another live about chat etiquette. And just giving awareness for those future content creators. Know who you rock with, know who to bring on your stage, and if you feel something is off, don't let them up there. Because you're going to have some people who are going to try to ruin and destroy what you're building. And they're going to do that because they don't have nothing to build of their own. They can't build because they don't want to build. They choose not to. You're going to have misery that always expects company. Don't give them that. And I spoke about this a while back, but I guess I got to re-speak on this again. And it's important. For those who are building and doing what's necessary, doesn't matter again if it's for monetary gain or not. Your platform is a symbol of your brand. It's also a symbol of what you do and what you bring. Don't bring all the wrong shit into your community and it messes it up. And this is something else you got to worry about too. That's a part of this whole thing. You got to worry about people trying to porn bomb. Or you're going to have people who want to come and try to destroy a good conversation. But when you got the right type of squad, or when you just know how to do things and maneuver around things, it doesn't happen as much. Jewel, baby. That's why I said it was important to have this conversation again tonight. You know, what messages are you bringing? And it's seeing that right there. If I would have just allowed you to pop up, and God knows what you would have done, that would have been something that I had to edit out, or that would have been something that the people would have just been looking at you. And 9 out of 10, they would have definitely side-eyed you. Because again, at what point do you say, let me be an adult and stop acting or thinking like a child? The goal is to try to teach better and show better. But there's some of y'all who don't care about that at all. You only care about what you care about. And that's another reason why some of y'all have the downfalls that you have in life now. Because you're not thinking about nobody but yourself. You ain't trying to better yourself. You just want the people around you to be in the same rut that you're in. And that's a message that we got to get out there. Again, if those people are not for you, they're against you. If they ain't trying to see the support, if they ain't trying to see you win, those are people you stay away from. See, you know what it is? People hate the truth, but guess what? That truth is needed. You know, tonight was an important message, and it was a message that was definitely needed. And again, for those who are utilizing social media platforms, not just this one, but any platform, make sure you're building correctly. Make sure your brand is staying intact, but also make sure that if the people are following you, you're giving them something great to follow. You're giving them some key pieces of knowledge and wisdom that they could utilize in their own life. Talks are needed. That's why we're going to keep having them. And I know that some of y'all just tuning in, but I think the link is still in the chat in case anybody else want to chime in. The people that I know that want to chime in. So if you thinking about hitting this platform trying to do something stupid, think twice. As a matter of fact, hold on one second. Hold on one second. I knew what I was supposed to do. Let me put on my pirate hat in case I gotta make somebody else walk the plank. But no, tonight was definitely a good message. And again, you know, these are some solid messages we're gonna continuously have. Like I said, in order to push change and to shift the trajectory of things, we got to start really bringing out what's truthful, bringing out the best in the people that's coming up under us. It's time for adults to really start having these talks with these younger folks so they could get the clear message. But I ain't gonna hold y'all too long. I've held y'all long enough. And again, shout out to Marlene for popping in. And like I said, some great people in here, great content creators, great supporters. You know, they make up this engine that we call this platform right here. And the fact that a lot of y'all stayed solid throughout everything, that's the most important thing. And I appreciate again every last one of y'all who has been a part of the build, still becoming a part of the build. And yeah, we still gonna have great conversations. You know this. We gonna always have a great talk because we need it. I don't care if it's for an hour, 2 hours, or 20 minutes. Don't matter. Goal is to try to reach the most important people that we can reach. You know, how do we expect better if we ain't gonna show them better? You know, for those celebrating birthdays, oh, I didn't forget about y'all. I did not forget about y'all. Hold on. For those celebrating birthdays this week, I did not forget about y'all. Hold on. May y'all continue to enjoy your birthday weeks. You know, celebrating on the weekend. Again, make sure you keeping yourself safe. Enjoy every moment of your special day. Keep creating memories. And again, be thankful for every moment that you're able to breathe. Every day above ground and every day not locked up is a blessing in itself. And that's the goal. The goal is to try to reach the masses the best way possible. Or at least try to reach those who are willing and able to try to break them cycles that they are currently going through now. You know, but I appreciate y'all for rocking out, and I think I am going to do that. I think I am going to do that tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to have talk about chat etiquette. It's about that time again. Yeah. And again, for those who are planning on building for the future, whether it's social media or off of social media, no matter what you decide to do in life, no matter what goals you might have planned, if those goals are going to be conducive to your life, if those goals are going to be life changing, and if those goals are definitely worth it, continue to stand on your 10 toes. Keep your head on a swivel. Point blank, period. You know? But yeah, definitely was great having this talk. And I appreciate everybody that rocked out. And again, shout outs to Marlene for popping in. You know, I will have the link pinned in case anybody want to chop in on the topic tomorrow. It'd be good to hear some good things from different people too. So anytime that link is pinned, especially for those who are new here, if you want to add to the conversation, you're more than welcome. But let me get my ass up out of here. If y'all was new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout outs to the replay game. Shout outs to the Shadow Mafia and the Shadow Babies. Y'all know what it is, baby. For everybody that was in attendance tonight, y'all already know that love is love and they'll be reciprocated as such. I don't know how to be fake. All I can do is give you real. That's all I'm gonna do is give you real topics and real bills. And I'm gonna let y'all rock out before I clock out. I'm gonna let y'all rock out before I clock out this app. Hold on, I got you. I got you. Remix. Don't worry, I see some of y'all moving around these streets, and hopefully y'all enjoy the rest of your evenings. And don't worry, Hump Day Cypher in effect. We definitely gonna talk about it. Y'all stay safe, keep that third eye open, and until the next live, we out of here. Peace and blessings.